Hello and welcome to Hidden Video Game Details, a new name for a series that aims to highlight some of the cooler things that you may have missed when playing your favourite games. In today's video, we ruin a game of pool in Hitman Sniper, we learn how baby hippos are made in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, and we steal a book from a blind man in Skyrim. As always, if you think you know of a detail that I'm yet to cover, then the best place to let me know is in the comments section or on my social media accounts, the links to which are in the description. Oh, and if you do go on to enjoy this video, then leaving a like, subscribing, or turning notifications on is really appreciated. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. So first up, let's take a look at Hitman Sniper. Hitman Sniper sees you once again taking on the role of Agent 47. Though instead of changing clothes more than my girlfriend does before a night out, you spend your time in Hitman Sniper looking down a scope. In typical Hitman fashion though, there is a lot of room for experimentation and multiple ways to take out your targets. Well, you could take out your targets, or you could spoil a game of pool. So shooting the white ball so that it pockets the black ball will cause an argument to break out between the two guys playing pool, before one of them decides to take matters into his own hands. It's good to see that despite being a mobile game, Hitman Sniper still retains the Hitman series sense of humour. Up next is the yet to be released Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. After managing to hop on the beta this weekend, I'm actually pretty excited for Cold War, though I am reserving proper judgment until the game is released in November. Most of my time in the beta was spent on the Miami map, a medium-sized map that takes place on, you guessed it, Miami's famous South Beach. And it's on the Miami map that we can find a couple of cool details that you may have missed. The first of which is this sign. So what starts off as a pretty normal looking sign soon takes a turn for the strange. The message under caution says that the beach isn't feeling so well, so try not to swim loudly or angrily, which itself is pretty strange. Well, things get even stranger under the closed warning. This advises potential swimmers that the beach is closed for all except Bob. Now, who Bob is and why he receives special treatment at the beach is anyone's guess. A part of me thought this may be a weird nod to SpongeBob, but I'm not sure, so let me know what you think in the comments. The next detail from Cold War can be found at the hotel swimming pool. So jumping off the diving board will cause your character to jump higher, which is a really nice touch. Expect to see this diving board feature in montages when the game is released. Next up is UFC 4. Releasing in August of this year, UFC 4 boasts a roster of over 229 unique fighters, but what if you don't want to use all of those fighters? What if you wanted to use just one? Former UFC heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier recently hung up his gloves to become a commentator, something which he does in UFC 4. Well, at the time of the game's release, Cormier hadn't actually retired, so not only can you fight as Cormier, he can also commentate on the fight himself. Well, if you have Cormier fight Cormier, then this will happen.
All right, here we go, DC. We'll see how objective you can be in this matchup. High-level mixed martial arts on both sides, as at long last, Daniel Cormier will face Daniel Cormier.
It's about the approach of the fight. How does player one attack player two when the skills are so even? Who's going to hit the button for takedown? Who's going to try to go to the clinch? It's all on you guys now. My job is done. I've trained. I always do.
Right.
But now it's up to you to lead me to victory.
You ready? You ready? Fight!
Woo! How good is this? Round one, Daniel Cormier out of the blue corner facing DC out of the red corner. I mean, there's just too much handsome in there for me.
It's too much handsome, and if you look closely and you squint, there's a goat on the left and a goat on the right as they go to the center of the octagon and prepare to fight for what is sure to be the greatest mixed martial arts moment in the entire history of the world. I have no horse in the race. but I'm sure I'll be very happy with the result. I can't lose.
So Cormier will actually acknowledge the fact that Cormier is fighting Cormier. Bonus points for anyone who can count how many times I've said the word Cormier in the last 2 minutes. So in a previous episode of this series, we tried to hold up a blind man in a convenience store in Saints Row 2. But it turns out to hold someone up, the person actually needs to see you, so our life of crime was over before it even began. But in Skyrim, we can once again try to take advantage of the blind by stealing Author the Blind's book. Well, if we were thinking we're going to steal ourselves a real page turner, then we were sorely mistaken. It turns out that a blind man's book doesn't really have much written down, due to the fact he can't see. I guess Braille didn't exist in the world of Skyrim. So let's end the video on a couple of great Tony Hawk's games, starting with Tony Hawk's 3. Releasing in 2001, Tony Hawk's 3 is many fans' favourite in the series, and for good reason, it is a fantastic game. Tony Hawk's 3 also had a pretty sizable amount of unlockable characters, 12 to be exact if you include the console exclusive characters, but there is one character we'll be focusing on today. Demoness is exactly what you'd expect her to be. A female demon. Aside from her skimpy clothing, another noticeable feature of the Demoness is her hands, which seem to be permanently on fire. Well, in the character select screen, pay attention to the guy behind the counter. So the Demoness's fiery hands set the poor shop owner on fire, something I never noticed when I first played the game all those years ago. So even though we know the Demoness is not to be messed with, I mean she literally just set a man on fire, it seems that some men like a dangerous woman. On the Suburbia level, you can find a creepy thin man who is looking for the keys to his house. Well, if you approach him with any character other than the Demoness, he will be stern-faced and creepy. If you approach him with the Demoness though, he will do this.
Living here is a scream. Don't come back without my key.
I'm sure this will be a red hot romance. So the final detail comes from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, and like the last detail, it involves love. If you approach the binoculars at the hippo enclosure, there is a chance that this will happen. So for a brief second, we get to see how baby hippos are made, so don't say these videos never teach you anything. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like, subscribing or turning notifications on is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.